Hello colleagues, David Violet here with Note-Taking for Consecutive Interpreting. What follows is portions from one of our practice sessions. We have practice sessions 2 or 3 times a week, 9 p.m. on Friday and noon Saturday, and sometimes noon Sunday, Eastern Time, New York time. And what follows is mainly me, because I don't want to reproduce what the others are saying or show them, because I don't want them to be inhibited by the thought that they'll be in public. So it's just me giving some commentary, and it gives you a feel for what happens in our practice sessions. And if you would like to join us, I think you'll find it to be very positive, very productive, kind of fun. We learn a lot, and I just love it. The participants, they seem to love it, and I see, as you will see as you watch this, the progress. You know, people come and they see one of our participants do an interpretation, and they think, I don't know if I can do that. I don't want to do it in front of everyone. I don't want to fall on my face. That person just did such a great job. I can't do that. Well, a few months later, maybe 6 months or a year later, that very same person is the one doing the interpretation that was so admirable, and which will be so admirable to the other people who have newly arrived. Anyway, it's something I'm very happy about. I think you'll love it if you want to improve your interpreting. Mainly your consecutive with notes, but we address all aspects of interpreting almost. I want to add right now that we are having a discount. All of the courses and these practices are 25% off if you use the coupon code, which is 2023 ready, and you enter it into the sign up for my school for this practice or for the other courses. And you can find links to that below. What I would recommend, Sijing, is after having gone through that, you can then go with her and look at her notes. So let me do that. Wang Ying. So there was a list, it's true. Lunch. It was after lunch or before dinner. There was nothing in particular to celebrate. And these candies are practically pure sugar, and we were just in a car. So, Wang Ying, so you probably apparently you had 3 of them, not the 4th one. Actually, it was number 2, I think. But when you look at your notes, what do you see? Okay, so do you feel like you hit the end of the list and you said, oh, shoot, I forgot to say number 2, but I don't think it's important. I'll keep going. Is that the idea? Okay. So what we know is you heard it, you understood it, you even noted it. So, you're 3/4 of the way there. And what we want to do is do a little bit of analysis like this and see where we have a weakness. And so, Wang Ying, maybe you have a slight weak point there when it comes to being sure of yourself, or taking the time to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be complete. I have this. Let's give it to them. What do you think, Wang Ying? Do you think that's accurate? Okay. And then the one about crazy. Do you see that? It's right after she says. Okay, so in both cases, the one about crazy and the one about remembering, you remember having heard that, right? And you have it in your notes. So we know it's not a problem of understanding the English. We know it's not a problem of note-taking. It's a problem, and it's a repeat problem, we now know, right? There's 3 times you heard it, you have it written, and now that you're reminded, you remember. The whole idea behind the notes is to jog your memory and remind you of what you actually remember having heard. So you're 90% through. It's just in the delivery phase that you had a slight wobbly, right? So I'm just going through this. Part of it is we all need to see what went wrong, so we can say, okay, next time I know that I heard it, and I've even got it right before my eyes, I'm going to say it. I'm not going I'm not going to fall down on this again. So it's good to do this little analysis. That's why I'm doing it now. So when you internally start getting feedback from people, you should do that and try. And when you're giving feedback, also maybe try to go through this a little bit the way I am. Okay, so that's my comments. Angel, I see you have your hand up. Please go ahead. Yeah, I think we do need to acknowledge that was very complete, very good. Congratulations for your first time in the. You got the description of the bag, the color of the bag. You got all kinds of things that were quite detailed. So, congratulations. That was an excellent interpretation. Yeah, it was. Jesse. Such excellent comments. I wanted to also acknowledge, thank you, Angel, for having written verbatim what was said. That's something I always recommend, and you actually did it. You came out with her rendition, which lacked an article, I noticed. So you were sort of talking about a point of form. And I also really like what Young May just said about the performance, and Jesse also said that speaking from your knowledge is the best way to really catch everything and connect with your audience. And so not from your notes, but from your knowledge. And therefore, for example, as Jesse said, from the description, from the picture. So let me see if I can kind of do it. And I wanted to add something that somebody told us in interpreting school. Smiling helps. It doesn't matter if the person didn't smile that much. Your smile as an interpreter kind of communicates, I'm with you, I'm trying to get this to you, and let's do this together. You're listening and I'm speaking. So it's not portraying the speaker if you smile a little bit and the speaker didn't smile, in my view. So let me try it. So one day after school, my mother came and she picked us up, and there was a big surprise. She stops. She starts fiddling through her purse on the dashboard, and she finds this yellow bag. She keeps looking in there, and then she pulls out these candies. And I'm thinking, wow, this is so unusual. We never have candies on a day like this. Okay, so I'm sort of just making it up again, right? So I admit that it wasn't actually accurate, but I had sort of this feeling of telling a story and connecting with you, and I didn't really have a smile, but sort of a smile, sort of a little bit of a smile, right? And I do recommend that trying. In fact, I was told when you take your exams, it might be positive to have a little bit of a smile. It's well, in French they would say séduire. It's a way of pleasing people and connecting in a way that makes them feel like, okay, this person's okay. This person's, I can go along with this. And it might help them to forgive any other things. So do think about the smile. Do think about speaking from your knowledge, from like I did, okay? I admit it wasn't, everything wasn't exactly right, but I think I had the feeling of connecting with you and all that. So that's interpretation. If you get that part down and you forget to say that it was a yellow bag, I think that's probably better than getting the color, but not really connecting and looking at people and using your oratory art to get the message across. It's very, very important in my view in conference interpreting. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm just gonna add one more thing in terms of substance. Wang Ying, there was when she says I felt like I was in a club, and you communicated that it was a good feeling, but she said something like it was the coolest club possible, and so what I have is underlined twice and POSS to remember that it really she heaped on the superlatives at that point. So, and this is a technical point about note-taking. So my notes have actually the word cool all the way out, all the way written. underlined twice to say a superlative, coolest, or at least super cool, very cool, I can't remember. And a P-O-S-S. Okay, that's a lot of writing, but I felt like she was emphasizing this a lot, and so I didn't want to forget it. So Wang Ying, what did you have in your notes for that, for the club? So try to acquire this reflex when they really emphasize it. You know, I think everybody confirmed or somebody nodded that she did say something like that, the coolest club possible, or an incredibly cool club, or wow, what a club, something that was quite strong. So use what I teach in the class, which is underline, right? Okay, that's, I guess, the end of my commentary. Any more? Anybody else? Well, first of all, it's so nice to see the improvement. It's so nice to see that you feel you're improving. And actually, I think some of the people who are new here now are looking at you as one of those who did an amazing interpretation. It was very complete, got almost every detail and the feeling and everything. So Wang Ying, congratulations. And it was a professional interpretation. Just tighten it up a little bit, polish it up a little bit in the ways that we've all recommended. Try it anyway, and thank you for accepting the critique in that manner. That makes it so much easier for all of us to help you if you don't get defensive about it. But nobody does that here anyway. So, yeah. Okay, shall we move on? Next piece. And I will make sure to get the screen in here. Sometimes it may not be possible to get everything, but I do have a recommendation. When you have a list that starts getting way too fast, at least put a bullet point for each item. And let's say, okay, the dictator timer has brought us all back here in mid-sentence, and I was answering a question of sort of general interest. How do you deal with a list that comes along so fast that you can't get everything? It is true that you may not get everything in a list. The main strategy in the note-taking is to be aware of what's happening. Okay, so here comes a list. I'm not getting everything. So what I recommend is at least have a space holder for each item. So that would be a bullet point. Boom, 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 just a dash to show, okay, here there was something. Maybe it'll be said again. Maybe I'll remember in spite of not writing anything, but at least I know here was something. Later, when you come to that, you may have to mention the ones that you actually got, and then say, among others, to let them know that there are more, and they can ask, or at least they will understand that it's not a complete list. So one strategy, so that's the strategy. And also I mentioned in the breakout room, be aware of what's happening. So, okay, here comes a list, and I don't want to miss the next point because I'm doing this list. So that's sort of what happened in the room I was in. So the person who gave the interpretation got absolutely every item, which was amazing, but it was concluded that perhaps the next item was weak, and likely he was concentrating on getting every item in the list. So be aware as this list comes to not sacrifice the next point just to get everything in the list. You try to spread your attention out so that you're going, okay, there's an item here, got to get the check mark. Oh, he's saying that. Okay, I kind of got that in another part of my brain. And then try to manage it. But the question I actually put was, is it actually possible to get every item in every list? And I think it's not really possible to get every item in every list. Some people have 10 item lists with names that if you don't write them phonetically, you're lost, and you can't. It's just not going to happen. But do be honest and say, among others, Or you could, if there's like 3 or 4 missing, depending on the context and what you think people need in that particular meeting, say the interpreter apologizes, there were more items here, but the interpreter did not get them, and just keep going. So, and that way they can ask the speaker later, or at least they're aware that they don't have a complete list. So those are sort of some recommendations of a general nature, but I don't think we need to have a big discussion. Should we move on to the next one, unless there are more? Okay, here we go. Yeah, the people who are here for the first time, like Tony, let's not make them go. So, okay, you guys figured it out? Oh, Elizabeth, on your little comment there, I was not here to hear it, but what I would say is, okay, so she left out the word highway and she just said robbery. Is that correct? Yeah, what she was trying to say is, wow, this was so good. I was getting away with breaking the rule. It was like highway robbery, meaning it was highway robbery, means it's like getting away with something incredible and not getting caught. And okay, so what you're saying is that feeling that this was an amazing feat, an enjoyable feat, that was absent because she only caught the word robbery, but not that meaning. Is that what you're saying? Basically. Okay, do you see what she's saying, Victoria? And I want to make sure it's clear to all of us always. You can substitute the word robbery, You could. Yes, there you go. You can say, you can use another, and when you go into another language, that's what you're going to have to do, right? The same metaphor or the same idiom will have to be said totally differently sometimes. So when we're doing our practice where we go back into English, keep that in mind. You're free to say it. In fact, it's a good exercise to say it in a different way, but make sure it's the same meaning. That's an excellent exercise. Sorry to be here and make you nervous. Well, it's interesting. That's such an important point. Sometimes in one of the rooms, somebody was saying, I don't bake, I don't know, I really have no idea what she's talking about. And then someone else said, well, actually, I bake. And this is the problem of being familiar with the material. If you're a staff interpreter at the IMF, you're going to know these words like the gobbledygook interest rate, the same way that we know the names of our mothers. It's just a huge advantage to be familiar with this subject matter. But the fact is that often in our profession we're not. Okay, we're beamed back to the main ship, and we will have time to do just one more. So let's make it a long one. It'll be about 4 minutes, although there might be applause at the end that takes up a half a minute. So anyway, it'll be 3 to 4 minutes, and here we go. Yeah, you're not taking too much time, Eric, but it's just that we have very little time. If I could chime in, Sinjin. So Eric, are you saying Sinjin is not an interpreter? Okay. I think Eric is correct. You have a natural ability. It was extraordinarily accurate. You have a knack for remembering and recording the whole thing, and you just rattled it off fast. You're made for this. And what you can do to improve is more the performance and expressiveness aspect. So to look at us and to tell the story a little bit as if it was your own. But you've got the story entirely there. And I agree with Eric. Some people just have this amazing ability to just record it all in their minds, and but you should definitely be working as an interpreter, in my opinion. And yeah, well, congratulations. Okay, I just wanted to say that before we had to leave the room. In fact, we're almost at the end of the day. Okay, we've reached the end. There's always everything has an end. I like to try to keep it on time, so I don't think there's anything urgent to address at this point. I do want to say we will have no sessions over the New Year's weekend. We will have none either, I think, on the Christmas Day weekend, unless maybe I will at the last minute tell you, okay, let's just do it, because actually I'm not traveling or anything. So, and we will have it next weekend, which is the one before Christmas. So we'll have, I think, Friday. I think this coming Friday, I probably can't make it. 90% I cannot make it. Sorry. Really welcome, Tony, and welcome, I want to pronounce it correctly, Sijin, right? Welcome. So glad to have you. And I can tell that people like Yang Jing are now becoming our mentors. So it only takes a few months here to people start to refer to you as the example to follow. And I am so happy to see all the progress. Any more points to make? Anything major to make? Welcome again to Tony and Sijing, and I will see you not Friday, probably not Friday, but Saturday, okay? Next weekend. All right, I'll see you guys. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. Bye-bye.